Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my videos. I'm really excited today because we're talking about head coverings, and specifically from 1 Corinthians 11 verse 4 through 16. And I'm really excited to be doing this because this is my first time responding to one of my commenters who asked me what I thought of this verse. And I just want to thank you all for watching my videos and interacting with me in this way. It's been a really great way for me to grow and, you know, have fellowship as well as learn more about God and His Word. So today we're talking about this verse, and you asked me what I think, so I'm gonna do very briefly tell you what I think. And so what I think is that, well, there are a lot more people out there who can do this better than I can. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to supply you guys with a means of studying this even deeper. That's something that I always wanted to do with this channel. I didn't necessarily want to be someone that went into the deepest depths that I could go on everything. I like to do a lot of different things, and sometimes I feel like I want to just make a video that just gives us a brief summary and inspires you to go study it further and supplies you with means to do that. So what I'm actually going to be doing is just giving you a brief overview and a summary from a study that I really liked and appreciated on this topic, and it was done by 119 Ministries, and I found it to be really good and thoughtful, and yeah, I found it to be really good. So I'm going to share it with you guys. This is what the thumbnail looks like. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below, and I hope that this video encourages you and sort of inspires you to go and study it further. And that's a place that I would recommend you go to study this verse, because there's actually a lot here, far more than I can cover in this video. And so now let's get to it. And so basically what I think is going on here in this verse, it talks about, and we're not going to read it for the sake of time, but I have read it, and you should pause the video and read it now. But you know, it's talking about head coverings for the woman, and I think there's based on the study that I have watched and reviewed, I think there's a spiritual element and a physical element to what they're talking about. And so I think the main spiritual point that Paul is actually trying to get across here is not so much about the physical head coverings, although he does address that, but more about our spiritual covering. And what he seems to be talking about here is that God is the head of the husband, and the husband is the head of the wife. And the way he seems to be correlating this with the head covering is that the husband is supposed to be uncovered when he prays, and the wife is supposed to be covered. And why that is to symbolize that the wife is spiritually covered by her husband, and the husband is supposed to not have anything on his head when he prays or prophesies, to symbolize that there is no one in between him and God, that he can go directly to God, and God is his covering. And now that doesn't mean that the wife can't go directly to God, but it's basically talking about the different spiritual roles that a wife and a husband play, in that the husband is the head of the family and the one that is directly responsible to God, and the wife is the helper and the one that sort of helps the husband, as God gave Eve to be Adam's helper. And so I just want to take a minute to briefly say that this is not about oppression or men oppressing women. Notice this is about husband and wife. It says nothing about single woman. If a woman was single, she also was uncovered, because in that day, it was the covering for the head was specifically for the wife, and it would be a cultural way of letting everyone else know that she had submitted herself in marriage to a man. I'm talking about a good submission, a serving submission, only after he, of course, would submit his life to caring and taking care of her and serving her under God. So they're both serving each other, but just in different ways. So back to the head covering. What the actual head covering represented was that the wife was covered by her husband. And if she was single and no longer a youth under her father, she was uncovered. That was sort of a symbolic way of saying that, hey, I'm single. I'm single. That's basically what it was saying. And so I think it's really important here to understand, and I want to read really briefly verse 16 that sort of really puts this into perspective in defining the spiritual and the physical. The head covering is a physical way of representing the spiritual relationship between God, the husband, and the wife. But notice what he says. After he goes through all the verses here and describes the covering and uncovering of a woman's head, he goes on to say, but if any, in verse 16, but if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. And so, of course, you should go and study this for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. But what I'm thinking this means is that though this is a custom, it is representing something that is true. So actually covering your head, from what I understand it right now, is not a law. You are not by law, by God's law, required to cover your head. This is not a commandment, but it is a custom at the time, and it represented a commandment. God has commanded us to structure our marriage in this format. And that is a law. The Bible goes into great detail about the distinctions between man and woman and how a marriage is supposed to work together in under God in a holy and righteous way. And we can go into that in another video later on. So basically, my thinking of a head covering is that it is a good thing. It was a cultural practice on the time, and it's significant in that it represents the spiritual law that God has ordained for man and women. But the custom in and of itself is not a law. So you are not required to wear a head dressing or a head covering. So women are not required to wear a head covering. But it's good to understand why they did at the time, because we could sort of see more into how, you know, the husband and wife praying and prophesying played out in relation to God. And so, yeah, that's basically what I think of it at this time. Of course, I'm still learning, so I may come across new information and change my mind, of which case I will inform you for sure. And so basically, I'll just say that the head covering is not mandatory. It's not required by God's law. It is a custom. Like, as it says in verse 16, if any man be contentious, we have no such custom. So this is not something to argue about or cause division over. It's a custom. It's a good custom that many people do, and that it's great that they do it should they choose to, but it's not something that we're required to do under biblical law. However, it is symbolic of something that we are required to do under biblical law, and that is structure our lives and especially our marriages in a way that is pleasing to God. And so I hope that has been helpful to you guys. I hope I haven't rambled on too much, and I hope it makes sense. And I hope you all comment down below and let me know what you think. And if you get some really good comments, I might make another video responding. I love having fellowship with you guys and sort of just learning more about God together. So I hope to hear what you think. That's basically my simple take on it. Again, if you want more detail, I encourage you to go and look at the study that I provided for you in the description down below. This was not meant to be completely thorough by any means. There's a lot more that we could talk about. I'm mainly just trying to make a short video to give a brief summary and interest you in the conversation and provide a means for you to continue studying. So I hope you will take that opportunity with me as we continue to go forward. Also, I'll briefly mention, I'll put another link to a video in the description from a woman, Sister Leah from Philia Ministries. She has had her own experience with head coverings, and she gives her testimony about why she does wear them and what it means to her. So I'll link that up in the description below so that you can also see someone else's experience, someone who has actually had experience with this, and you can learn from them as well. So I hope this video has blessed you. Please like and subscribe, click the little bell, and hopefully I'll be uploading a lot more now. And I hope to see you guys in the future as we continue to grow this channel together. And God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching.